He'll never figure it out. He's completely clueless. Those were not some anonymous taunt. I had that exact phrase saved in a screenshot, time-stamped 2:17 a.m., 3 nights before my daughter stopped sleeping through the night. It wasn't texted to my daughter. It was texted to someone else, a name she'd picked at random online, and it was the single sentence that pushed me from bone-deep worry into a plan I couldn't walk away from. Have you ever read a message and felt your insides go cold? Have you ever wanted to smash the phone and also hold it close so you could keep every lie it contained? Tell me in the comments, what would you do? My daughter Sophie was 16. She liked skate videos, late-night memes, and a playlist called Sad But Vibey. She'd been ghosting family dinners for months, always with her phone face down. And when I asked about a guy she'd been chatting with, she said, "Dad, it's fine. He's 18. Ben, everyone chats with someone." That was my first mistake. I believed her casual shrug because she said it with the sort of exhaustion only teenagers can wear. But I had no idea what I was about to discover. That's exactly what I told Detective Alvarez when I finally went to the station, a line that sounds theatrical until you live it. It started with a screenshot. I was working late at the Seattle office, grinding through a spreadsheet, when my wife tapped a photo into my group chat. Sophie's iCloud backup had synced every device in the house, and she'd accidentally left the Photos app open on the family Mac. There, among concert pics and a dog in a sweater, were screenshots of Sophie and Maddie, the name of the girl she thought she knew. I scrolled. It looked at first like a stupid teen romance, emojis, late-night confessions, but then language shifted. Don't tell anyone. And suddenly the tone was wet cement. The conversations went from memes to manipulative. He asked her where she lived. He asked if she was alone. He asked her to send photos he shouldn't have had. He asked about school schedules. I remember my chest tightening like someone had wrapped a rope around it. I came downstairs and asked, "Sophie, who is Maddie?" She avoided my eyes. "She's just a new friend from Insta. A model." "Dad, you were there last Christmas. Can you not?" "Can you show me the messages?" I said. I shouldn't have said it. It's what a father does. What I didn't know was that by asking, I opened a door that led to something bigger than our living room. "Andrew, let her breath," my wife said, gentle but tired. She didn't know the meaning of the messages yet either. She thought it was Instagram drama, a temporary teenage phase. But that night I sat in my truck in the driveway and scrolled. There were 1,200 messages. There were voice notes. There were timestamps at 1:27 a.m. and 3:11 a.m. and odd phrases he used repeatedly. "You're mine," "Don't ever tell," and worse, the arrogance. "I'm going to take you for everything you've got." That sentence wasn't aimed at my daughter. It was saved as a draft in an account linked to the predator's email, which matched his login across 3 social platforms. He was sharing it with someone else. The narcissistic courage of people online is astonishing. They say things in DMs they'd never say in daylight. But I had no idea what I was about to discover. Again, because I didn't. The discovery was Detective Alvarez's number in my contacts by morning. We went to King County Juvenile Cybercrimes the next day. Detective Alvarez looked like the detectives you see in documentaries. Tired, efficient, more slides on her phone than you can imagine. She said one sentence that made the world narrow into a single axis. "We see this a lot. You did the right thing bringing us those screenshots. We're going to help." What followed felt like an onion being peeled. Little by little, evidence you don't want to exist unfurled. The account behind Maddie was not a teen girl. It was a 38-year-old from Bellevue named Jared Stone. Jared taught photography classes at the community center. Jared coached youth soccer on Saturdays. Jared wore an Armani suit to parent-teacher conferences. Jared had been catfishing teens for 2 years. 2 years of lies. "You won't believe what I found next," Detective Alvarez said, and I did not. There were 47 deleted messages that cloud backups had preserved. 7 voice memos with his breathing heavy in the background. A Venmo history that showed transfers to burner wallets. A Google Drive full of folders labeled with kids' usernames. A Ring doorbell clip from someone's porch where Jared had stood at 10:03 p.m., pretending to be a delivery guy, getting close to the house of another family who reported similar messages. He's been grooming dozens of kids across 3 counties, she said. 14 confirmed so far. Some parents didn't come forward. Some kids were too ashamed. The number hit me the way a fist does. 14. 14 other teens. God. We decided to bait him. The police had a protocol, an undercover operation with a decoy account run by someone legally an adult but posing as a minor. People call that bait. In my living room, I said bait like you'd say treat, soft and sick. But Detective Alvarez didn't flinch. We do it every week, she said. But it has to be clean. No entrapment. No tricks. We only respond to what he does. There were risks, big ones. For one, the defendant could argue entrapment in court. For two, if the sting failed, if Jared suspected the decoy, he could vanish. For three, my daughter could be re-traumatized. We were juggling the legal statute and my daughter's emotional health like hot plates. There were 3 moments in the preparation where the whole thing nearly collapsed. First setback, the decoy's account flagged. Someone reported it as fake. The platform froze the profile, and we spent a week rebuilding credibility with staged posts and comments. Detective Alvarez leaned into me and said, "We have to look like a real kid. We have to be sloppy, not perfect." It felt criminal to fake a teenage profile, even for the right cause. Second setback, the tech guy, the one who recovered the deleted messages, fell ill. The court had a discovery deadline. Without the 47 preserved messages, our case would be paper thin. Anxiety spiked hard enough that Sophie started hearing my anger in my voice. "Dad, are you going to be okay?" she asked once at the kitchen table, and I realized my plan had to protect her too. Third setback, 2 days before the operation, Jared emailed my wife. He didn't mention specifics. He wrote, "I see you watching. You're wasting your time." He was trying to intimidate us, but the email violated a no-contact directive we hadn't publicly set. That could be used by defense counsel to argue harassment. I remember feeling the air leave my lungs. Still, we pushed forward. Detective Alvarez gave me a role, be the parent. That's a loose phrase. It meant be present, believable, and ready to testify. The decoy, Maddie, would be an undercover detective named Riley, 27 but playing 16. Riley had a different energy. She was soft-spoken, sardonic, funny in a way that felt authentic. She messaged him for 6 weeks, building rapport, letting him think he was the clever one. We kept proving his arrogance. In a voice memo Riley saved, Jared said, unguarded and clear, "You're too stupid to even see what's coming." That line, in his own voice, became one of our best tools. It showed intent, predatory tone, planning. It laid out a picture of his belief that he could manipulate anyone into silence. What would you do if you were watching someone say that? Would you keep your kid off social media? Would you tell the school? Or would you become the kind of parent who sits in a car at midnight and watches a man approach a park bench because you want him arrested? Drop your answer below. I want to know what choice you'd make. The operation day was ridiculous and surgical. Riley arranged a meetup at a public park near downtown Seattle. We chose noon at a bench crowded with dog walkers, so there was camera coverage, witnesses, and 1,000 ways for Jared to claim entrapment he couldn't sustain. I sat in a car across the street, breath fogging in the cold, watching ring footage live on my phone. Detective Alvarez was 2 cars behind me, mic clipped and radio static low. Riley messaged him, "Are you close?" Jared replied, "Yeah, I'm outside the Starbucks. Do you want me to come over?" He thought he was meeting a kid. He was meeting procedure. 3 uniformed officers, 2 plainclothes, a camera on a pole, and a legal team. He was also meeting me in a way he couldn't have foreseen. My presence as a parent would be critical in the trial. He arrived in a Tesla, an Armani jacket slung over a shoulder, sunglasses despite the overcast sky. He looked like someone who believed life was a series of small cons that always worked. As he approached the bench, he whispered into his phone, "By Christmas, I'll be sipping champagne in Tuscany with your money." I recorded that whisper from the car. It was ridiculous and chilling. It was the arrogance of a predator who counted money as a reward for manipulation. That line would echo in court. "You're going to walk away with that?" Detective Alvarez whispered in my ear as Jared got out. "Let him talk." He sat, he smiled, he reached for his phone, hands a little too steady. "Hey, Maddie," he said, voice low, like a man sharing a secret. "You okay?" That was the bait. Maddie was Riley, who was wearing a cap and oversized hoodie. She tapped her phone, not looking up. For a terrifying second, Jared stared into the hoodie, as if expecting the face he imagined. Then, quietly, two officers stepped out of the path and in a single movement grabbed his arms. "You're under arrest for grooming and attempted luring of a minor," one said. There was a short, stunned silence, the kind you get when a magician reveals the trick. Jared laughed. It was a bark, a sound that meant he thought it was a joke. He said, "You're making a mistake. She was 18. She told me she was 18. He was trying to rewrite the world. He was trying to gaslight everyone present. Riley kept talking to him with the soft cadence she'd used for weeks, voice steady, recording everything. Jared's arrogance crumbled like stale bread. We had proof. The 1,200 messages, the 47 deleted messages recovered by warrants, the voice memos where he bragged and threatened, the Venmo transfers to burner accounts, the ring footage of him lurking, and the transcripts that showed intent. We had the decoy's recorded chats where he said, "I'm going to take you for everything you've got," when pressed about money. And, "You're too stupid to even see what's coming," in a moment when he thought no one could hear him. Those lines were nails in a very public coffin. Of course, 2 days later, Jared's lawyer filed for dismissal. "Entrapment," he said, with a smile that smelled of desperation. My client was only communicating with an adult who posed as a minor. He leaned back in his chair and added, "You're making a career out of ruining men." "You're too stupid to even see what's coming," I whispered, not at Jared, but to myself, a mantra that had been a weapon in our possession. It felt strange and vindicating all at once. The courtroom was a theater. Jared sat in an expensive suit that now looked like an ill-fitting costume. His lawyer argued technicalities as if the life of 14 kids was a two-dimensional chess piece. We had to fight every turn, motions to suppress, disputes over probable cause, debates on whether Riley's role crossed a legal line. There were 3 moments during the trial when it seemed like the whole case might fall apart. Moment 1. The defense moved to suppress the recovered messages, saying the warrant was too broad. For a heartsick week, I slept in filing cabinets, metaphorically, checking emails at 3 a.m. It felt like watching the sunset in slow motion. Moment 2. One parent of another victim recanted, terrified of publicity. The courtroom paused. The prosecution had to reassure witnesses and restructure their case. Moment 3. A judge considered letting Jared's Venmo transfers stand as non-criminal because they were labeled coffee and not payment. It was a hair's breadth moment where language almost let a predator walk. But the prosecution had worked to the bone. Detective Alvarez brought in a digital forensics expert who testified line by line how those 47 deleted messages were recovered, how metadata proved times and identities, how a cloud backup couldn't be faked. Riley testified with care and grit about how Jared had groomed the persona, manipulated conversations, and escalated his requests. The evidence was technical and human at once. I testified. I didn't want to. Standing in front of a courtroom, Lou felt microscopic and gigantic at the same time. "I saw the messages," I said simply. "I saw him tell my daughter to be quiet. I watched him approach a park bench that afternoon, and I watched him get arrested." The defense tried to poke holes. "Sir, are you aware that your daughter shared her passwords?" they asked. "Sir, isn't it true she engaged with this man voluntarily? She was a child," I said. "She didn't know what she was doing." The jury saw the ring footage. They heard Jared in his own voice say, "He'll never figure it out. He's completely clueless." A line that made several jurors literally lean in. They heard him say, "By Christmas, I'll be sipping champagne in Tuscany with your money." A comment the defense tried to paint as bravado, but the jury couldn't unhear the pattern. He targeted kids. He harvested material. He monetized access. When the verdict came, it landed like thunder. Guilty on counts of grooming, attempted luring of a minor, and distribution of explicit images. The judge sentenced him to a decade, not counting civil suits that families would file later. It was not enough for what he'd done, but it was everything the law would let us take that day. There was a moment in court when he looked at me. For months he had looked unbothered. In that glance, all arrogance drained away, and what remained was something slippery and small. He mouthed, "You don't know me." I had screenshots of his chats with other men where he said, "I'm going to take you for everything you've got." I had his own voice telling a fake minor, "You're too stupid to even see what's coming." The truth spoke louder than his excuses. The aftermath was messy and human, and in a way, healing. Sophie went to therapy. Some days are still rough. She deleted social media for a year. She reclaimed herself slowly. Skateboard sessions at noon, late-night drives with friends, reclaiming an Instagram full of sunsets instead of secrets. We put a password manager on every device. We replaced family. Habits with rituals, a weekly no phones at dinner rule, and a new language around consent and safety. Jared's fall from our town's faux sophistication was immediate. The community who'd waved to his Tesla at soccer fields now avoided his once friendly nod. He was fired from the community center. The photography studio where he'd taught classes shut down the next month under a cloud of investigations. Civil suits cost him thousands. By Christmas, "I'll be sipping champagne in Tuscany with your money" became a bitter joke shouted at bar counters where people congratulated me in a sort of brutal solidarity. Was my part revenge? Maybe. I wanted him to be stopped. I wanted him to feel the legal consequences. Part of me wanted him humiliated. But there was something else. I wanted protection. That the law could be used, not for spectacle, but for safety, felt like a kind of revenge that didn't extinguish me. Some people told me I went too far with the sting. Entrapment is a gray area, they said. What if you'd made a mistake and arrested the wrong man? To them I say, we followed legal protocols. The operation was court-reviewed. We didn't coerce, we witnessed. We turned a predator's confidence into evidence against him. Was I overzealous? Maybe. Ask me when the sleep returns. Ask me when you see your kids smiling again. There are lessons. Here's one that isn't preachy. The internet makes